Welcome everybody. We're going to be talking about the Transcendence upgrades that are coming on Wednesday this week and whether or not you should be upgrading any of the units you currently have available. And this is a big discussion to have because at first and for a while, the necessary ingredients to actually transcend your characters, the horns, they will be pretty limited. Now, they are split up by rarity, and that is a big help compared to the Blossoms of Paradise for EX jobs, but you still have to be very careful with using these, especially if you're not a spender. But even if you are, from what I can remember from when Cabbage did his review of the 3rd anniversary in JP, that there wasn't even that many horns available for people that were willing to spend money, and it was mostly about the scrolls. Let's start by talking about Amnelis, who got their dream ability right away in JP, but did not in global because she came early before dream abilities and Transcendence was implemented, and people were a little bit disappointed with her in some areas, and her dream ability does address some of those things. But if you didn't like her already, then it's not going to change a ton, although I think that she is a very powerful character, even though I never ended up being able to do my should you pull video. So first of all, let's see, if you use one of your prismatic horns and you take her to 140, you're going to get this dream ability here. So we have 20 spirit penetration. That means that she'll get 60 total innately, and then another 10 from trust stones. You're at 70, which is pretty good. She even gets a decreased attack skill activation time and then an upgrade skill of her job level 25 skill. So let's go take a look at those now. So the skill that's being upgraded is this one down at the bottom here, and basically what we're going to see is that we get a absorption effect added onto it, and there's no other changes in terms of range or the range height. There's no AP change here. It's really just going to be that absorption, and that's a fine thing to have. That was actually a very powerful skill when we saw it with Luelle with her law of geo absorption, so it's not something that you can underrate. But the other part of this is looking at the cast time reduction, because she does get 100 more cast time reduction, and that's something that we should kind of consider. So if we look at her best move here, this big AoE that decreases single target resistance, it's got a good range height, etc. This is her slowest casting move at 200, and the 100 decrease that we're getting from the dream ability doesn't actually affect the casting time of this ability just because it's 200 ticks. And if you were to add on to that with, you know, trust stones or whatever, those are all going in 200 increments, which means it still won't help you out. But where it does actually help you out, if you have 200 from her passives, if you have 200 from your trust stones, and then you have another 100 from her dream ability, that's going to help all these 280 cast time skills. So what that means is that these 280 cast time skills are going to cast one tick faster, and she has quite a few of them here. Sorry, that's the same skill there. But then on her sub job, I believe that she has lots of 280 skills, as we can see, that she could cast faster. So if you're wondering whether this is a worthy upgrade for her, I think that it is. I think that people that are already liking using her and are water mains are going to want to be building her up as powerful as they can. There's not a ton coming in the future with water, so this is a unit to build up for your water team. So please, enjoy yourself. The next one I think is pretty simple. If you are a fire main, then you should be transcending Mont, King of Leonis. He gets a pretty good upgrade here in terms of pierce and missile resistance, putting him 15% to each. And what that does is that we're going to see we're going to be at 30% for missile and then 25% for pierce. It also upgrades his Leonis, Fatal Leonis skill. And what that does is give you some more defense. So 8 more defense. It's also going to give you a auto cast for a self heal. So when your HP is 50% or less, you're going to heal back up. And we can see down here that heal is 40% heal whenever his HP goes below 50%. That is a very, very, very powerful buff. He doesn't have guts, but that's okay. It's still very powerful. Even if it's not quite as good as Snow's is, I really like this. This is going to make him, give him a lot more survivability, especially in guilds battle, where he can, if you're running him without a healer, he really just will eventually die, and he often doesn't make it into guild battle too. And this is kind of going to increase that chance of that happening, which is a big deal. So I'll be awakening him immediately on Wednesday. That's gonna be the first one I do. And if you are not a fire main, then you don't have to worry about him as much. But if he is your only tank on your account, it's maybe worth considering that you could upgrade them for PvE or whatever PvP you do. But if you have an eye on a tank in the future in your element or your job type, then maybe you don't have to worry about King Mon. Macherie is next, and there's a lot to break down here because she got not only her dream upgrade, but she's also getting cleric upgrades. But first, let's talk about the dream upgrade, which gives her some AoE resistance and then some more magic. So this is really good because she did need more damage and she does need some more survivability. It's also going to upgrade her job level 25 skill. So we'll go look at that first, and what we see here is that basically we are getting an increased range by 1 here, and I think yes, that's all that they've done is the increased range, but that's still really, it was already a bonkers skill, very, very powerful, instant cast. So this is all she needs to stay further back out of the way of any sort of AoE attacks. This is a sneaky good upgrade. And then other than that, we have cleric upgrades now. So we can see that, for example, her heal is now going to be, it's interesting because here it says it's a large potency heal, but on the patch notes in the actual global client, it says that it's a medium heal. So we'll see what happens when it comes up on the, the English version of War Division Calc. But this is a really, really good heal. It's a very quick cast time. It's going to dispel debuffs and also heal for way more than Cure ever did. So that's a really big upgrade for her. The fact that her Calamity Guard has this giant AoE now, it's instant cast. It gives everybody a one-time all damage barrier. It's just, they get more HP, etc. It's just a really, really powerful buff. It makes her a sneaky, very powerful launch unit for this 3rd anniversary. I don't know that, she's going to be top tier in PvP or anything, but I certainly think she's going to be very interesting in manual PvP, but also that there are going to be some applications for her in both PvE and PvP going forward. So do I think that you should transcend your Macherie? I think that people that want to do it should do it. I'm not recommending that the general player base do it. King Oelde is the next up, and he is interesting. He's actually a really fun character to play with. His limit burst is super intriguing, and he gets some defense, some single target resistance, and then his revenge thrust is going to break a barrier. The issue that we see here, though, is that he still doesn't have very good resists to speak of, except for his slash resist. The rest of it is non-existent. That's going to be a problem, even with that single target resistance. And then we can go look at his skills, and there's just not a lot of range here. He has to get really close, and yes, he has a barrier, and yes, he has hate up, but we have people that can snipe him down pretty quickly. And while his upgrades for his Lancer job are solid and he can deal with more things now, he can break barriers, he's got the 100% hit, he doesn't have a lot of things like defense penetration. It's just a limited thing here. It's 3 turns and then it's gone. That's all his defense penetration on his kit, and he doesn't have things to deal with courage or re-raise or anything like that. So I don't think that I would be recommending most players to be building Oelde, but I think loyal fire players will be, including myself, although not right away because I don't know how many materials we get. I'm going to be needing to use my materials on King Mont and then Yuffie next week, but I'm sure that down the road I am going to hit this guy for sure. Next up is Sterne Leonis, who is a very interesting character because new players can get him for free as soon as they spend any sort of money in the game. They get him with 600 shards, and then you can start building them with your dark team with Black Rose Helena and Leela the Bold if you re-rolled for them, and then you're pulling Sephiroth this week. So all of a sudden you have 4 dark characters that you can build up, and that's pretty interesting. Now, if you're not familiar with Sterne, he's basically like the definition of a glass cannon. He does a ton of damage, but he dies super easily, and nothing's changed here. So even with his upgrade, he has 25 total AoE resistance now. He has good defense penetration, and his Calamity Hazard is very, very strong. We'll look at it in just a second here, but he still has abysmal resistances except for strike, and his HP is still incredibly low, and it's just not enough for him to be effective in PvP. He is, however, going to be a very, very strong PvE unit, and that's something that we can kind of bank on, especially for new players. So when we look at the upgrade down here for Calamity Hazard, now it's actually going to deal more damage. We can see right here, but they've also gotten rid of the consume your own HP effect of that, which is really good. So this ability to break a barrier, to do a huge slash in peril, to maybe inflict slow, this is an incredible skill for PvE to use in a slash party or a dark slash party. So I think that new players should build Sterne, but not necessarily transcend him, because I think that's a big step to take, but it is a very interesting one for any of the PvE fans out there. Okay, so Oberon is now here, and he is a very easy transcend for any sort of Earth player, or maybe somebody that's going to be really interested in playing with spear units down the road. But however, don't do that just yet because there's not a lot of spear support, so you'll be waiting a while to put him into a team with other spear units, specifically when we're looking at the job-based VCs. But if you are an Earth player, this is an easy upgrade for him because he gets pierce attack, he gets initial AP, which is one of my favorite effects to get a unit that does not have a lot of AP. This is going to be really big for him being able to use impact buffs instead of something like bells, and that will make a difference when we see him in guild battle. And now when we go down to the bottom here as well, and we can see his upgrade for his 100% hit spear strike. It also breaks barriers now. It also has lightning killer on it. I mean, he was already going to shred any lightning units with this, but the fact that he has barrier break is a very important thing to add on. I know this is very similar to what Oelde got, but the difference is that Oberon has a ton of survivability. He's got jumps. He's got way more in his kit than Oelde does, and it's a very different upgrade. Mediena is another very interesting character because new players will get her for free and be able to awaken her to at least a level 99, and I think you can go into EX jobs with her. I need to double check that, but she gets some interesting upgrades with some more agility, which kind of brings her to middling agility. She gets a ton of magic. She's going to be a very strong unit, and when we go to her upgraded skill, it's going to be this Blazera secret arts that she gets. The spirit break goes from 20 max to 48 max, and then aside from that, I think no difference in any of the range or AP or anything. The healing power though is another gigantic upgrade from max 40% to 70%. Really big upgrades for this skill. The range on it is really impressive already, and so what this skill does is really opens up a target to take some serious magic damage from your team, and then it makes it very difficult to heal them. So this is actually a very strong skill against anybody with that 50% healing skill. Like for example, Snow. I don't know if you've seen a Snow that has had healing power down on them. Then the Velis comes in to heal them. They try to use their self-heal, and it doesn't work effectively at all when you have this big of a modifier on it. The only thing is that you're running Mediena, and she's just not that good. She has no cast time reduction, but has all cast times on everything. It's just, she's a relic of the past at this point. She's so squishy. I don't think you could run her seriously in PvP, but she will be very, very nice for PvE because of the gigantic spirit imperil, and because she has some other cool things on her kit that she can do, like the ice imperil on her limit burst. It's another Mont Leonis, but this time it's the MR version, and this one for sure everybody will be able to build up for free. It just matters if you want to use the MR material on it or not, and I suggest that most players do, especially new players. He's just going to be a really solid unit. We've got the missile resistance 30% from the Dream ability, which will just put him into the positive stats now, and then the elemental resistance, just we saw that on Sephiroth. Very, very powerful. Drain Killer is going to it's basically stealing AP, but not directly. It's going to take away 20 AP from the opponent and then give back 10 to Mont. It's fine. I mean, Mont is what he is. He's a really fun limited guild battle type unit. He's a very good PvE unit, and he's a really good fill-in unit for new accounts while they're still trying to do stuff. So I think he's easy to upgrade. I'll probably upgrade him as well because I'm not interested in the next unit. So it's safe to do for now, but we will get more MR upgrades, and you might want to save your MR antler for those future ones if that's what you're looking for. All right, and then there's Nasha, who is also getting the upgrade, and it's pretty decent. So 15% agility, 15% critical evasion. The critical evasion is actually very strong in terms of reducing damage that she's taking. Her agility is still going to be quite low. This does not help her out that much, but she's just not going to have an abysmal agility stat anymore. And otherwise, she does get an upgrade to her final skill down here, and the single target resistance is going to go up from 25 to 35. She's going to be able to be impervious to any sort of defense or spirit imperil, which is actually quite good. And other than that, it's still the same type of skill that it already was. It's an important buff. This will make her even more effective of a limited guild battle tank. It's going to make her great for selection quests, etc. It's definitely a good upgrade for ice mains, for those that are going to be using her in limited guild battle, and the rest of us, if we don't have an ice team ready for that, then she's not going to be a priority, at least not right now. All right, and then we have little Leela, and this is a pretty interesting upgrade because she gets some innate hate, very important for a tank. She gets some more HP, and her HP is respectable for an SR and for, you know, kind of not a full tank, but she has some other ways to mitigate damage, and we'll see the skill upgrade in a second here, but we can see that she has what it takes to be a magic tank. When we look at the reduce magic damage 5 times by 70%, the spirit, she can't be spirit imperiled, etc. If Mediena hits her with that Blazera secret arts, it is not going to actually take away 48 spirit. So she looks pretty solid here, but this last skill is the most important one. So this is a big ol' AoE. It has a 100% hit. It has decreased healing power 50, and then it has 47% chance to inflict silence right now. So that's an upgrade from 25% base chance to inflict silence. And she has a further 20% from her passive up here. So what we're looking at is actually going to be a 67% base chance to inflict silence. That is the level that limit bursts get. So you think about how easy it is to inflict a status effect with a limit burst. This skill will just do that now. This skill is very important if you're running into any heavy magic teams, because even magic swordsmen, when they're silenced, are not able to use their skills. The fact that it's 100% hit means that we can use this on Elena. So if you're seeing lots of Elena in limited guilds battle, this is going to be a really good skill for you. The one thing about little Leela is that if her barrier does get broken, she is not going to stand up to very much damage, even if it is magic damage, but she's certainly going to die very quickly to physical damage. So if we're expecting a magic meta, or maybe if you're building a team that her job is to silence people, maybe she doesn't need to survive the whole fight, especially if she's on an attack team. So she might be very key for taking out certain types of defenses. And finally, we're going to talk about Warrior of Light, who is getting his upgrade. He gets a bunch of HP, and this is almost 1,000 total HP added on to his total, which is a big deal. He gets the healing power, which helps for his self-heal. It helps for the automatic heal on his kit, but it also helps whenever a ally uses a healing spell on him. So all of that looks really good. And the final upgrade here is that his barrier is going to be increased from 35% to be a 50% barrier. It's a very good increase. This all together comes down to him certainly becoming more survivable and more tanky, and for players that already use him, I think it's worth the upgrade. But obviously, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be running a banner for him or anything, not that we've seen, so this doesn't affect a lot of players. But if you do have him, I think he's worth the upgrade. I think he's very fun, with these upgrades, and that he could be competitive. And we don't see a light upgrade for a tank for a while from what I've seen. So this is your chance to kind of get him up that notch and take him to the next level. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. Hope it was useful for you. I'm not going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII units because I already talked about them in a previous video, and I talked about Sephiroth in his own video. I think that if you like any of those units, feel free to transcend them, but otherwise you might want to save that material for units that are coming up in the future. And if I have time, I'll make a video about that as well. But you can also go check out JB79 because he has made videos about the future units that are getting Transcension upgrades, and he has ranked them and everything. So really good information there that might help you make your decision on whether you want to build somebody right now or if you want to wait and plan for the future.